Hi, everyone. Welcome to One Drop at a Time.
We're a podcast that explores developing our relationship with the Savior and filling our lamp one drop at a time.
Thank you for taking the time to like and share our podcast. Okay. Hello, you guys. Merry Christmas. Welcome to our little party we're going to have.
Exactly. Where are the treats? That's what I want to know.
That's right.
Where's the chocolate?
Oh, well, we know where the chocolate is. You're staying far away from the chocolate.
I've already had my fill for the day.
I know she's put in her time today. So we want to talk about poignant Christmas memories. And last week we put together a wonderful presentation for you all, and ended up with no video. But we talked about Christmas gifts that Christ gives us, and but this week you're gonna just have to guess what that was. We'll do it next year.
We're saving it.
We have to redo. But we wanted to tell Christmas stories this week, memorable Christmas stories. And I think Jenny has a really good one we'll save for last. But do you have one to start us off with? Or is that the one first?
Well, I mean, I have to tell you the one that I can't forget as a little girl. I was so excited for Santa. Like, I would try and stay awake. I don't know. I think everyone has done that, right? Everyone has tried to stay awake. And I remember one night laying in bed Christmas Eve, I had my brand new pajamas on. I'm waiting and I'm trying to stay awake, and I hear little sounds on my ceiling, on my roof. And I heard a little jingle bell, and I thought, he's here, he's here.
Was it your dad?
I don't know. But I remember, and I still remember hearing that as a little
so
girl,
tender.
thinking, okay, Santa's here with all the gifts.
All the presents. Yeah, we were talking about the difference between mountains of presents, and Jenny and I were both. What number child are you?
I'm number 5.
Okay, so I'm number 1. We're both of 7 kids.
Yeah.
So we both know the story of thin Christmas and less thin Christmas, but never mountain Christmas.
I don't think my kids have really ever had mountain Christmas either.
Yeah, it's a different style, it just depends on how your family's always different. But I do remember that we had neighbors that had mountain Christmas, and they had 8 kids, and their dad was a lawyer, and he made some good money, and they would just have mounds of presents. And I remember one year, so I don't know what happened, but it was not a good year. And my aunt if my cousin Dorla's on, it was her mother, my Aunt Dixie, would always send us a gift package for Christmas. And we were always, my dad was the youngest, and so they were more established. And while his oldest brother was like 15 years older than him.
Wow.
And she would always send us a package of gifts with candies and stuff. And I remember one year that I got a wrapped package that looked like this wide up and down, and it was a 3-pack of Bonnie Bell lip gloss. And I think I don't remember getting hardly anything else that year. And I just remember walking away from Christmas so distraught, But then I was talking to my cousin Dorla, and she said that sometimes they would have a thin Christmas, but her mom would always send gifts to us.
Wow.
I don't know why she did that. She was amazing, my Aunt
That
Dixie.
was your Christmas. Isn't that funny?
But it's so interesting, these comparables, and I've since, like, looking back on my life from a 50-year perspective and thinking about those mountains of trees, and looking at my family that my parents created for us, I realized, like, what we got for Christmas is really tight sibling relationships, great relationships with our parents. They did teach us to be confident and to believe in ourselves. And I don't know what else you want for Christmas. Really, that has affected my whole life.
I think for me, I look back, and I have done this for years. I don't really remember any of the presents. I did remember Mom would make us homemade pajamas, and we were always excited about that. Either Mom or Grandma.
Yeah.
But what I do remember, and what I did appreciate especially as I started growing my little family, was I remember caroling.
Oh,
Like,
yeah,
we
so
would go and
fun.
carol to all the older people in the neighborhood, and it brought me a feeling that the gifts didn't bring.
Yeah.
It was more memorable than the gifts, and so when my little kids were little, sometimes they'd be so excited to go sing to the neighbors, and
Yeah.
it didn't matter when they were super little that it was Christmas that we were singing about. They were gonna sing about the teapot song, you know? They loved it, and there was this song that I used to sing
So cute. Oh my
as a
gosh.
family of 7. I mean, we had bass all the way up to soprano,
Mhm.
with my parents included, and there was this one song that I remember, Christmas. C is for the Christ child born on Christmas Day, H for Harold. Like, it's all about Christmas, and I don't think I've ever heard that song since, but
Yeah.
Ashley and I, my oldest daughter and I would when we would go carol around Pleasant Grove, we'd carol, and then her and I would sing that song, and it's
Mm.
just been what a beautiful, thing to look back to, what a beautiful memory.
Yeah.
Um, I mean, I just because we never had a lot,
Mhm.
and even as, parents ourselves, I didn't ever have a lot. I gave my kids what they needed, and
Yeah.
thank goodness they thought that was enough.
I
Maybe
re
they thought that was normal, I don't know.
Well, and what is normal, right?
Yeah,
Like, you can live in a lot of places in the world, and it's what we have is not normal.
yeah.
I remember one year, in probably, like, 1980.
In the 1900s?
Yeah. Something like that. My dad got a microwave for my mom, and it was, like, this big. It was so big, and he hid it in the house, and we had to find the present for mom, and so we all ran around the house, and it was in a closet under some coats or something, and we drug it out of the closet and unwrapped it, and it was a microwave, and you wouldn't have known that, it wasn't the greatest thing ever, we were all like, "Woohoo, we have a microwave." But it's the things that parents create for their kids
Yeah,
in their emotional, um and I was reading, today to Jenny a story by, Joseph F. Smith, the sixth prophet of the church, and he was saying that it was Christmas Day. It might have been Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, I can't remember, but he did not have 1 penny. He said he was pretty depressed, and he went downtown and looked in all the windows at all the stores and looked at all the stuff, and then he just went somewhere and cried his eyes out till he couldn't cry anymore. But then he went home and he played with his kids. And I thought, what do you remember more?
yeah,
Right? The day that dad spent all day playing with you and playing checkers or wrestling, whatever. And then maybe you make popcorn and you're probably okay.
yeah,
It's just so much the bonding.
yeah. There have been some amazing stories that I read over the years. I would collect them, and I remember this one story about this family that just they didn't have Christmas. They didn't even have food to put on the table. They were
Mm,
so destitute, and they had prayed about it, and Christmas came, and one of the kids went to check the stockings, and there was nothing in the stocking, and so the child went back to bed, and in the meantime, somebody from their ward or state came and said, "Look, I've got a ham for you. I've got a bag of gifts for you." It you know,
mm.
whether all that mattered or not, all the stuff, the warmth and the love that the person brought for Christmas was what made Christmas, you know?
Yeah, so much. Now we have all these conveniences. I just read this book called Christmas Heritage by Susan Arrington. It's quite an old book. But they're talking about they were so excited because they made cookies,
Yeah,
and I'm like, boy, that'd be a pretty disappointing Christmas for most kids because you can have a cookie any day,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And so how do we handle that today? What do you think?
Well, a couple of things pop into my mind. I was, of course, on social media this morning just looking at a few things, and this woman is like, "My kids and I are wanting to do something for Christmas that really is meaningful and brings more of the Christmas spirit rather than focusing on all the gifts, and one of her kids said, "Mom, what if we go to, like, Walmart or one of the grocery stores and we offer to buy someone's groceries?" So the whole question of this lady is, would that be awkward if someone jumped in line to buy the next person's groceries? And so I was reading some of the comments to see, and everyone was like, "Man, I would appreciate it." But one woman said, "I would buy my own groceries, and then I would put $50 towards the next person's and just say, 'Would you just let them know this is a gift from me?'" And I love that. I mean, my thing that I do every year, and maybe I need to do something different because it's getting very normal, but I have to go in and get my Diet Pepsi, you know? And I do that every day except for Sunday. And so I'll go in and I'll take $20 and I'll give it to the lady at the register and say, "Will you buy the next 15 drinks? Can the next 15 drinks be on me?" And I don't ever get any feedback. But I know that if I were the one to get it, I would be thrilled. So, I mean, I try and do that. There was one time I did that at McDonald's. I'm in line, this is several years ago, and somebody bought my meal, and I just got 2 cheeseburgers or something. And so I paid for the next one, and as I'm driving out, I can see the car that's paid for mine, and they're just kinda watching me, waiting to see what
You're
my
like,
response is. I know. I mean, there are lots of
"Aw."
ways you can give that way. I know we have giving trees going on, and people
Mhm.
get excited about donating a chicken. They pay for a chicken for somebody in a third world country that gets to get a chicken that they
Yeah.
need, you know?
Well, seriously, like, if and that's so fun. It's really fun to press that machine and do
Yeah.
that deal. This person's gonna get rabbits. But, so if we know that the relationship is like, the bonding between the people is the key thing,
Mhm.
then
Then it's not buying a gift card
it
for
helps.
$20 for soda.
Well, no, 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 no. I mean, that's a kind of like, the universe paid for it for you, and you
Yeah.
kind of feel happy about that. But like, if money isn't a thing that you have a whole bunch of, then you can, and like, even those people that watched you at McDonald's,
Yeah.
they wanted to see the human reaction.
Yeah.
That was their reward, you know? So, just, like, thinking of how to be there for people, I have a neighbor down the street. She, um she has a couple of children. One of her young 20 grandchildren just died, and it was a
Um,
terrible, it was, like, a car accident, and that that just really hurt them because they were so close to this particular, they only have, like, 2 or 3 grandchildren. And, we were we my kids like to sing too, and so they wanted to go caroling. They didn't want me to come, but I came anyway. They're like, "Mom, we wanna do this." I'm like, "Okay, whatever." But anyway, we went down to this lady's house, and she, it wasn't a big deal. We didn't think it was a big deal, but to her, it was a really big deal at that time of their life. It really meant something to her. And she came down to our house a few days later, and she brought like 12 crocheted or knitted scarves, like this wide, all different colors, pink and white and black and yellow. And she wanted everybody that sang to have a scarf. She brought them all down, and then next year we used the scarves to decorate the Christmas tree because they were bright and colorful and long, and it's just kind of funny. And then this year she brought me a present again, and it's the kind of the combination of time and repetition and relationship, and that is just what makes you rich,
yeah.
just to have a history with someone. And even if it's only the things that you say, really.
There are so many ways we can serve, and build that relationship. I would take my kids caroling, and we would go to the Gurr's house, and we would carol, and then Ashley and I would sing our song, and they would invite us in, and then the kids got a little bit older and started moving away, and we stopped caroling, and they would ask us every year, "Are you coming?" One year we did the caroling, and Bishop Gurr ran and got something. "I have something for you. I have something for you."
Oh, he
And
was
he brought
ready.
this little plaque that said, "Lift where you stand." And
Oh.
I remember him telling me, "You can't even understand what a difference it makes for you to come carol to us." We don't often see what goes on there in the recipients' lives,
Mhm.
but it was a big deal to them. Um,
It enriched their
and
season,
it
like
and you know what? It enriched me. I still have that plaque. It meant a lot to know that they cared enough to even go above and beyond just clapping and being grateful to, you know, preparing something just for us. Um, Last year, Christmas was late for us because we got sick. But Brittany has this neighbor down in Spanish Fork, and she loves this neighbor so much, and she's like, "Mom, we need to go carol to them. Even though it's late, we need to go carol." And we did. We went because that's something that she remembers. If she wants to think about a thoughtful gift, caroling is something she remembers because she can remember how she felt when she caroled when she was little.
oh, it's so
Just
wonderful.
wonderful traditions. And whether it's caroling that you're giving, Um, it's different for everybody. I did this, thing last year where I was feeling really sad, and I went up to um, my Relief Society president's mom. I ministered to her. I just had got her, as someone to go visit, and I'd been there twice before, and I'd found out that she was terminal. She wasn't gonna last very long, and I went up and sat on her bed and told her a little miracle story, and at the time, I was feeling so with depression, you never know when it's gonna hit and what's gonna get rid of it and when it's gonna come back because it doesn't often stay away very long, and I'm working on that, but I was feeling particularly sad and lonely and no one cared and blah, 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 that depression does even though none of it's real, and she took my hand, and I've never had a hand squeezing so tight and just for her to say how much she loved me. She didn't give me anything. Except
Mhm,
for
yeah.
love, and I'll never forget that because it came at a time when I needed it. And to take it even a little bit further, we're talking about helping each other, but in many ways, the Lord is using us to show these people how much He loves them. Not
Mhm.
just how much we love these people we're interacting with, but how much He loves these people, you know?
Oh, for sure. Like, I wanna just share a story that Jenny's like, "Is that the end of the story?" I'm gonna tell you this story anyway. And I love this story. It's a very sad story, but I love it because it teaches me it teaches me something. So, this is a pioneer story back from I've been reading my pioneer book. Of a woman, a little girl, probably 5 or 6, that was at a Christmas party, and back in the day, they would have a Christmas tree, and all the adults would put the kids' presents on the actual branches of the Christmas tree, and then the community would get together, and the Santa, whoever was playing Santa, would pull down the present and read the tag and call out the tag, and that child would come and get their present. And, so this particular year, they all went there, and there was a blonde doll on a tree, just dressed to the nines, and this little girl just sat and stared at this doll for the entire while the people were getting their names, and she's like, "Let that be mine. Let that be mine," you know? And she's looking at it so hard that she doesn't realize Santa is calling her name, and so she goes up to Santa, and he hands her a little purse. It's like this big. It's purple, and it has pearls all on it, and it has little painted blue forget-me-nots and a silver chain, and it was a lovely, cute little purse, and she said, "It might have been my favorite gift of all if I hadn't already had my heart set on that blonde doll." And she said she was little enough, she went back to her mom, and she kinda shyly got next to her mom's ear, and she said, "Is that all that Santa has for me, do you think?" And she describes in the story now as an adult how she sees it, that she knew that her mom's heart was pierced as keenly as was hers when her mom said, "Yes, dear, that's all that he has for you." And I just I don't know why that story hits me so hard, but I think it's because the Lord suffers with us in these experiences that we have. He loves us and he's preparing things for us, and we don't even we think we want things, and she would have loved that doll. But she could also love the purse. But in the end, the Lord provides the thing that he knows that we need the most. And I was just thinking, like, how many people are going to think what I want for Christmas the very most is a baby born in a cave in a manger and put in a manger, and this baby is going to die for you. Like, what in the world does that have to do with anything that I want for Christmas? And it's funny, the things that we want, the things that we get, and the things that we need.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't have that story yet, the actual Christmas story. Hopefully we get to tell that one before Christmas, but um for a while now, when you have adult children, you never know what to get them. They have everything.
That's true.
They have everything. And if they don't have it, they're like us, they can get it. They can get whatever they want. So how do you give a gift that is meaningful and makes a difference? And I remember um I started this with Caleb. I wrote out a letter, and in the letter I talked about some good times we had together as he was growing up, the memories that we had forged as stepmother and son, playing ball together and riding bikes together and playing tennis together. And I just wrote a letter. That was 100% his gift. And that summer, he called and said, "Mom, you and I are going to go play tennis."
Oh,
And we would play
cute.
tennis once a week as a result or a response from that memory of spending time together,
That
you know?
letter.
And then the next year, it was Blaine's turn. And I wrote Blaine a letter and I told him, "Blaine, I could not,
Her
my
son-in-law,
son-in-law,
yeah.
have a more genuine, perfect son for Ashley. And how grateful I was
Mhm.
to have him in my family. I couldn't have chosen a better man for Ashley. And he's such a good, and he'll call me when I'm down. He'll come over and sit with me for a half an hour and lift me up and help me and encourage me." And I gave him that letter, and he never said anything, but he read the letter and he had tears in his eyes. People matter. And we may think it might be all about the stuff, but Kristen's right. It's about the people. It's about the people in our little circle. Now, there are a lot of people that are really not very into my circle because I don't spend a lot of time with them, but I was on Facebook the other day and this lady was selling 20 socks for $20. And I thought, I don't need Christmas socks, but I'm going to buy them. And so I bought these Christmas socks and came up with a cute little poem. And then I called a little girl, a younger teenager in my neighborhood, and said, "I have these socks. Help me find who I can give them to." And immediately she said, "Well, this person just had surgery, and this person has a rare disease, and this person," and she started listing all these people that needed more than even just a pair of socks. But it was a way for us to show
They
these
needed love,
people
yeah.
that we were thinking about them.
Mm.
We were making an effort. And again, it's just a pair of socks. But, I have thought about some of the people in my neighborhood, like the neighbor just next door to us who lost her father during Christmas time last year. And
Mm.
and I'm going to drop by and drop a little pair of socks off and just let her know I'm thinking about her. It doesn't have to be about the stuff. Again, it's about the connections and how much not only does not only do we care about these people, but how much the Lord cares about these people.
Right. So we just want to say Merry Christmas to you, and I like this idea of this letter because there's phone calls, letters, pairs of socks, treats, visits, Really just anything that you show someone that that your holiday is complete through them.
Yeah.
So we just want to we hope you write down some of the cool things that you think of to do or that somebody does for you. People generally like to write down what other people do for them because they don't like to brag on themselves, but
Yeah.
we're just so grateful to have Christmas coming. So Merry Christmas.
Mwah. See you guys.
Bye.